Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report, a look at city updates and municipal news, and a preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda. Your hosts, Emily Springstrow of Oshkosh Media and City Manager Mark Roloff.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on GovTV for your City Manager's Report, your source for all of the latest and greatest news going on in our city of Oshkosh, as well as a preview of the upcoming City Council meeting agenda. I'm your host, Emily Springstrow, joined as always by the Oshkosh City Manager, Mark Roloff. Thanks for joining us today, Mark. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Great to be here, Emily.
First show of 2017. As always, we've got a lot of great things to talk about, so we're going to go ahead and dive into the hot topics for the first half of today's show. We'll take a little break, and then we'll return with a review of the council meeting agenda for Tuesday, January 10th, 2017. So, Mark, first thing I guess that we want to talk about is we're in a new year now, and a lot of people are setting their New Year's resolutions, and that kind of goes for in the professional world as well. We have a lot of new goals for 2017, and I thought maybe we could talk about some of those things that you're kind of looking forward to this year.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on, and we're going to talk about throughout the whole year. A couple things I want to work on specifically, and I've talked to some council members about this, is updating our city website. It's a few years old, and in website terms, that's very old. That's older. That's quicker than dog years.
It is.
And so we really do need to update that, refresh it, make it more viable for people who have mobile devices, tablets, things like that. Additionally, I think there's, in the aftermath of having the new public works facility, I think a lot of departments are saying, we have some facility issues as well. We think you need to take a look at them. And we have some plans to take care of roof projects and parking lots and heating and ventilation systems, and just taking a look at things and saying, what do we need to do to make sure that we're efficient? Because you spend a lot of money on energy, and cold season like this, you really want to make sure that you're not throwing your money out the window. So just trying to keep an eye on those types of things. And then our central city investment strategy is something that council has asked us to do, and we're working on that actively. That's both north and south of the river. And it's just maybe start looking at what things we can do to begin implementing that once it gets approved. I expect it to get approved sometime in the first 6 months of the year. So it's get ready for the next step, which is implementation.
Yes, we talk about the Central City Investment Strategy, and we've been kind of ramping up to this a lot. We've got an open house coming up on January 11th, talking about the proposed arena, and this is no stranger to anybody. Everybody's been talking about it. So tell us a little bit about what this meeting or this open house is really going to consist of.
Well, it hit our top 10 in 2016.
It did.
I think it's going to roll into 2017. The group putting it together is the Windward Investment Group, as well as Greater Oshkosh Economic Development Corporation. But next Wednesday, January 11th, 5 to 7 p.m. at the Convention Center, they're holding an open house. They need to continue working on this project, even though the Bucks have not made an announcement, because they can't be caught shorthanded and not be ready to move on this if they do get it. So they need to start the public review and approval process, and part of that is engaging the neighbors, because they're going to be impacted by a facility like that, and they want to make sure that the neighbors are aware of what's going on, and then just show them some renderings, answer questions they might have about, well, what does this mean, both now and in the future. Taking a look at possible public improvements that may need to be out there from a traffic standpoint, what traffic impacts are going to be, and then just how it fits in with the larger sawdust district that we've been talking about for a while now.
Right. Now, in our top 10 episode that we discussed about 2016, that was one of our items, is this whole area is kind of going to be coming to life with the sawdust district. So I guess this open house, you'll be discussing the proposed arena, which is just one part of this larger plan that we're looking at.
Right. As you see in the blow up here, the number 11 on the left side, that's the proposed arena. It's actually going to be a little bigger. There's still discussion of a larger arena on the right side, which would happen down the road, but that all remains to be seen. But the first arena is the first step in the project. They've talked a lot about trying to create an entertainment district, which would be totally okay by me. This is really a conceptual plan that you see. But the arena is only a part of it. The other part of it is that the office complex right along the river, again, these are all conceptual, but this is something that the people who were trying to set a vision for the area came up with. And then lastly, another favorite issue that people keep bringing up is the Pioneer. Both the renovation of the hotel itself and what that might mean, but also the marina that would happen with that as well. And the marina is something that they've talked about revamping because it exists there, it's just not used a lot. And then on the upper left of that the diagram you have there is actually a proposed condo complex, and that's actually been discussed. From what I understand, the folks who are making the pitch to the Bucks have said, well, that's a potential location for players to live there. So a lot of different ideas, but this neighborhood's been very sleepy for a number of years because of the lack of activity at the Buckstaff site. So this is going to mean a lot of impact in the neighborhood, and I think it's important that if these folks want to build something like this, that they talk to the residents and the property owners out there about how it may impact them as this moves on.
Right, and it's so that's so true that as you're discussing this, if something like this were to come to life, it does affect the people that live in this area. So it's good to keep on the same page and get that input from them as well as what they think about these plans. And I just love honing in on each part of that little plan because it's each and every part is so exciting.
Yeah, and it's going to be so nice to have them work together, and they're all going to really rely on one another for their success.
So as far as the D-League update goes, it's still kind of in a waiting period, but we have a proposed arena whether that happens or not.
Right, and so they're going to keep working on that. If they're going to meet the schedule that the Bucks have talked about, they got to be ready with all the approvals. What they call shovel ready is everything is ready to go. So they're doing their part to go through the approval processes that are going to be necessary.
Wonderful. So once more, January 11th, 5 to 7 p.m. at the Convention Center. It's open to the public, talking about the update on the proposed arena. So January 11th, Convention Center. That's one big, very topic that we talk about quite often. Another one that we talk about quite often is Buckstaff, and we have a little bit of an update on that. We were just out there today on this very cold day and saw some of the most recent footage. So we're going to go ahead and show that, and you can kind of give us a little update on where we're at with the project.
Well, kudos to our videographer, Scott, who braved the cold out there. It looks so beautiful, the sky and everything, but that's that ice blue.
Yeah.
This area that you see with the rubble, the bricks and whatnot, that is what remains of the building that was at South Park and South Main Street. That area that you see that's everything's down is where the arena itself would go. The buildings that you still see that still have to be torn down, that's where the parking lot would go based on the plans that were submitted by the investment group. But you see as this pans across that it's a pretty wide area, and this would be able to fit the footprint of the arena. So once the rubble gets cleared and it's just the pad that's there, then the city will take ownership of it and then begin destroying the concrete pad that's there beneath the rubble. That's our responsibility, and so once we take ownership, we'll do that. Our goal is to work over the next 6 to 8 weeks to have that all ready so that we can, if everything goes well with the announcement of the Bucks and everything, that the arena would be ready to be turn the spade to shovel and get everything moving around the 5th of March.
Wonderful. Well, it's great to have that update, and it's fun to hear a date that is actually coming pretty soon here. It'll be here before we know it. So exciting for us to see, for those of us who don't get out there as often as others do. It's a big change. It's almost like a hole in the area.
Yes, and it's really great. And even though the buildings there that don't look the greatest, they're coming down on a regular basis, and you'll see that continue throughout the next few months.
Great. Thanks, Mark. Next thing that we want to just mention is the deadline has come and gone for potential candidates to get their signatures in and their applications for council and mayor, and we will be having a primary.
Yes, we will, and so that you have to mark your calendars for February. It'll be the primary election because we have 8 candidates for council. They have to narrow that down to 6 at the primary, and that'll be Tuesday, February 21st. And then, of course, the general election after the primary will be for April 4th, the mayor's seat, the council member seats, and other local and judicial elections and things like that will also be out there. And encourage people to vote. That's what that's what it's all about.
Yes, and stay tuned for the League of Women Voters Candidates Forum. We will be having that on GovTV Live. The date has not yet been determined, but we will be posting that on our Facebook page as soon as we have that. It's great to see the interest in getting involved too with council, and I think we just have to give a little plug too. If people do want to get involved in their local government, council's not the only option. There's a lot of boards and commissions that are open as well.
Correct. The boards and commissions, you can always contact my office or look on our website and look for vacancies that may exist and apply for boards and commissions. It's a great starting point if you're interested in public service. A lot of different ways to get involved and help our community.
Definitely. Had to get that little plug in there. One other plug that we want to get in right now too is Christmas tree collection. Whether you're one of those people that takes your Christmas tree down right after Christmas, or if you leave it up all of January, you have time throughout the month to get that picked up. So January 9th through the 13th, next week, Monday through Friday, trees are going to be picked up separately by a truck on your regular scheduled garbage collection day. So when you put out your garbage, put your tree out there alongside it and it will get picked up. If you don't get it out next week, there is another week opportunity, January 23rd to the 27th.
And you can always drop off the trees at the Yard Waste Center on West 3rd Avenue. There's that option for you as well if that doesn't meet your schedule.
And to use the Yard Waste Center, you do need a permit, so you can get that at Kits and File or right here at City Hall too. But just a few things to take note of when you're leaving your tree out. Make sure that if you do put it out and it does snow, kind of uncover it of snow, the city will not pick up trees that are completely covered in snow.
Or we may not find them until spring.
Yeah, exactly. So make sure you keep an eye on that. Also, artificial trees are not open to be picked up. Those will not be accepted. And then if you have wreaths or garlands or anything that have wires in them, those belong in your trash receptacle, not as a pickup for the trees. So just had to get that out January 9th through the 13th, again, January 23rd to the 27th. So Mark, now it's that time of the show where viewers have the opportunity to ask you anything they want about things that are happening right here in Oshkosh. It's question mark, so we're going to take a look at what the question is this week. All right, so Mark, it's that time of year, so I'm not surprised we got this question, and that is, who do I talk to about the increase in my property tax bill?
Well, the answer is it depends on the governmental entity that's taxing you. The city does send out the tax bill, and a lot of people still believe that, well, why don't you do something about the schools or the technical college? And we don't have anything to do with that. Those are separate, independent governmental entities. When you vote for the school board because that's a separate body. The Voc Tech District is a completely separate body, as is Winnebago County. Now, with that said, we at the city take about 37 cents for every dollar, so a little over a third of your tax bill goes to the city. So the city does own that 1/3, and that's where you call us. You put in the question mark, or let us know through social media. Any of those questions, we can talk to you about. Police, fire, public works, things like that. But because we collect the bill doesn't mean we keep it all. Our responsibility is to distribute that. No different than the city clerk runs the elections, manages all the elections regardless of what governmental entity it is. We're serving a function to pass the funds on to all the other governmental entities. So if it is us, certainly we own that at the city, but school district, county, Voc Tech District, and state, they all get another little cut of it, the property tax bill as well.
Yes, and that graphic is available online as well as a few other materials. I believe it's under the clerk section of the city website. So if you do have any questions, give us a call, and we can hopefully direct you to the right spot, whether that's dealing with the city on your property tax bill or one of those other entities that we talked about.
Absolutely.
So great question this week. If you'd like to send a question to Mark, you can email it at questionmark@ci.oshkosh.wi.us. I encourage you to send it to us on Twitter or Facebook. It's a little bit easier. Just search for @City of Oshkosh or Oshkosh Media on Facebook or Twitter, and he'll answer it on the next episode of City Manager's Report. We're going to take a quick break here, and when we return, we'll go over the City Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, January 10th, 2017. We'll be right back.
Scam artists are pretending to be IRS officials to get your money. They'll call, email, or text you, claiming you owe back taxes or there's a problem with your tax return. They even rig caller ID to make the call look official. They play on your fears. They threaten to take your driver's license or sue, arrest, or deport you. They want you to pay fast. What's the truth? The truth is the IRS's first contact with you will always be a letter in the mail. It's not a phone call, email, or text message. They won't insist that you pay with a prepaid debit card, a wire transfer, or cashier's check. Now you know. Has an IRS imposter contacted you? Report it at ftc.gov/imposters.
Welcome back to City Manager's Report. Thanks again for joining us. I'm your host, Emily Springstro, joined by your City Manager, Mark Roloff. And now it's that time of the show where we're going to go through the City Council meeting agenda highlights for January 10th, 2017. So first thing, before the meeting starts, the Common Council will be in a meeting at 5 for a workshop with the DOT regarding potential design options for Jackson and Oregon Street Bridge. So Mark, maybe you can give us a little bit of an overview of what those options might be for that bridge.
Well, the State Department of Transportation has been looking at the potential of either refurbishing or replacing the bridge. It's reaching the end of its life, so it needs something to be done in order to maintain its structural integrity. But one of the options is also replacing it. So they've prepared what I believe are 7 different design options that they're going to present to the council and just get their feedback. The council doesn't make a final vote or anything on that because it's a DOT bridge, but they will. They certainly want to get our input on the matter, and we've provided them some input as staff members to get it down to 7. They had a whole multitude of ideas, and they met with the public and some input from the elected officials previously. Now it's narrowing it down and getting a little more honed in. So it's going to have a variety of different options to choose from.
And a lot of those different impacts they're just a variety, like you said. So some of those things might be length of closure, some of those things might have to do with the Riverwalk. Right.
There's things like, do you want the Riverwalk to continue under the bridge like it does over on Wisconsin Avenue? That certainly from a safety standpoint. Other issues are, depending on how the bridge is aligned, if they replace it at the same location, it could take up to 2 years. If they move the bridge, they might be able to start building part of it and under traffic before they close it. So it's either a 1 or 2 year closure. So those are the types of things they want to get input from council before they make a final decision. But I'm sure that the council's input's going to weigh heavily.
Excellent. Well, I'll be interested to hear where that meeting goes and just hearing all those different options. So. Next up, we have a presentation from Elizabeth Williams, one of our city planners, on the OneAshCosh strategic plan. Give us a little bit of an idea of what that is.
OneAshCosh is a conglomeration of all the different groups that have an interest in neighborhoods and in housing. It's not just the city, it's not just GoHNI, our neighborhood association, umbrella, or our neighborhood associations themselves. It's also Habitat for Humanity and AdvoCap and other local groups that have an interest in improving housing. They've worked together to create one overall strategic plan, so it kind of gets everybody understanding what their job is in the overall picture so that we're not duplicating efforts or maybe working against each other unknowingly. And Liz Williams with our staff has been very active with this group, and just give council a presentation on what to look for and how they're working together, because it's very important that, especially when you're dealing with housing issues, that you want to make sure your investments are done properly, and this is one way for them to achieve that.
Great. Well, it'll be wonderful to hear about the strategic plan, and like you said, they're all working towards the same thing, so it's nice to see all of these organizations coming together to create this one team, I guess you could say.
That's why they call it OneAshCosh.
Yes, definitely. So under public hearings, we've got a couple of things. First and second one relating to the same thing is approving the amendment to the comprehensive land use maps, changing the land use designation for properties located at the northeast corner of Harrison and Custer from industrial to commercial. And this is regarding some possible new housing.
Yes, it is. In fact, this is one of our other housing partners, which is the Housing Authority. So I'm glad that's on, because they've been very helpful in in working together on this. But they have a very ambitious plan for type of mixed use, but primarily for housing. And it's right there between Custer and Nevada, east of Harrison Street, so on the north side. And the whole idea is for them to get the proper zoning and land use changes approved so that they can proceed with this project. My understanding is that they've already gotten some preliminary financing approved. So they are now going through the process of getting all the necessary approvals at the local level. And then you'll see a really great transformation of what used to be an industrial area into a residential area that'll blend in with the neighborhoods immediately surrounding it. To the south and to the east is residential, so you want to make sure it's compatible, and I think it'll be a great addition to the neighborhood. I think the neighbors will be excited with what they're going to see, a great high quality housing that will blend in well with the neighborhood.
And it's so cool to see projects like this using the old buildings, whether it's industrial, commercial, whatever, to create housing like that. And it's really a big intrigue to bring people to Oshkosh too.
Great nostalgia, but also it's going to be great because it's going to provide housing for people who really need it.
Definitely. Moving on in the agenda, under the consent agenda, we have item number 11, Resolution 17-07, and that's the approval of the initial resolution for special assessments for paving, sidewalk, driveway, and utilities. This is basically the start of the year, new street projects. Give us a little bit of an overview of some of the projects that we're looking at for 2017. I know a lot of people are excited for these.
Everybody always looks forward to it. I mean, unless their street is not on it and they want it done.
Yes.
But we make progress, and our capital improvement program identifies a program of streets to get replaced. But I'm really happy with some of these projects because they really say something about some completion of things. One on the north side is going to be New York Avenue. It's the last segment of New York Avenue to get done from Wisconsin over to North Main Street. It goes right in front of Merrill Elementary and Middle School. And if you've driven over there, dropped off kids, if your kids go to Merrill, you know how rough it is. You've told me how rough it is. And this will complete, since I've been here, maybe a year or two before I got here in '08, all of New York Avenue will be done from the river over to the lake at Menominee Park. So very pleased with that. That one will be completely done. And New York Avenue, for folks who live on the west side, this is a great way to shoot over to Menominee Park. It's going to be so much nicer. And for the folks who have weathered the storm, literally and figuratively, over at Merrill Middle School for either school events or recreational activities, it's going to be a nice completion. So we're really happy that one's done.
Wonderful.
The second one is also on the north side. It's Murdoch Avenue. Murdoch Avenue, just west of Bowen Street, getting over to Harrison. If you go shop over near the Piggly Wiggly, or you use that as a way to go from the north side over to Menominee Park, you know that's a pretty rough area as well. And we've been working closely with our neighbors in the area to make sure that we don't negatively impact their businesses, whether it's the grocery store or whether it's any of the other businesses in that area. So that's going to be a shorter duration because it's not that big of a project from a length standpoint. But anytime it's impacting a business, it's gonna be detrimental to them. So we want to try to minimize that impact.
Sure. And a couple other ones you wanted to mention?
Well, this one is just kind of a cleanup project. We had that pond that we built behind Washburn, and this is over by Maricopa. It's Dickinson Avenue out to Washburn, near Interstate 41, down Maricopa and over to Covington, and down a little bit onto Covington. We, as we were putting in storm sewer related to the storm sewer project there a few years ago, we really uncovered some utility issues that are there. The streets are in decent shape, but the utilities underneath have to get redone. So the whole idea here is get the utilities completely redone so we don't have any issues down there, and then the road will be okay, and you'll see better capacity for that stormwater pond that was built over there. It'll improve that. It'll get the water out of the neighborhood a lot quicker. And this area is pretty heavily hit back in '08, so we want to make sure that these ponds are doing their maximum amount of benefit to the residents.
Wonderful. Well, 3 very great projects, and I know a lot of people are looking forward to them because they're highly used areas too. And if you're curious to know when certain streets are going to be on the plan, all of that is available on the city website, correct?
Right. Check out the website. Look for our capital improvement plan. You'll
Right.
see all of our street plans for the next 5 years. They are subject to change a little bit, but these ones are the ones we're getting out with for 2017, and these are the ones getting done.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for the update, Mark. Underneath that, we have quite a few. A large portion of the consent agenda is special events. And we just wanted to kind of highlight a couple of them because it's great to see some winter events. There's a lot of people that are on the ball talking about some of their events coming up even into July and September. 2 of the events on here are in February. First one being the Otter Street Fishing Club's Winter Fishery on the 3rd and 4th, and then Battle on Bago on 24th and 25th. So it's kind of fun to see.
Yeah, and this brings a lot of people into the community, and it's also a great community event as well. But we are so well known for all the fishing throughout the year, and then in the winter we don't rest on the fishing side of things. And as you can see, there's so many other different activities that bring people out, get you out of your winter doldrums. You don't have to stay cooped up all winter, and there's so many different activities. Even if you don't like fishing necessarily, there's a lot of fun out here. If you're willing to brave the weather, it'll be worth coming out for. And this is just an example of all the different special events that we have throughout the year. We have nearly 70 fishing tournaments in the city alone over the course of a single year. And so you want to try to make those things fun. So these are just some of the few of many special events that council will be approving, and you're going to see more of them now that the beginning of the year started.
Yes, it's no surprise there's a lot of events. Oshkosh is an events city, and we're looking forward to all of these events, like you said, bringing a lot of people to Oshkosh. One really quick one that we wanted to talk about was the new resolution approving Phase 3 of the 2016 Great Neighborhoods Capital Improvement Program. Tell us a little bit about what this grant is, I guess.
Well, we have a grant that we applied for and were successful in receiving. It's an urban forestry grant to basically plant more trees in the right-of-way in the terrace areas, and some matching funds were needed. And so we have funds in our Great Neighborhoods program because the target areas that we're going to plant the trees are in some of our neighborhoods. So we're using some of our Great Neighborhoods money. Most of the time we give this money to neighborhood associations. This case we're giving it to a program that we're going to operate, but it's going to match money coming from the state. So we're going to take our $25,000, match with another similar amount from the state. So we're going to double the amount of money we have available to plant trees, and those help a lot with improving neighborhoods. So real excited about it. More great programming that our planning folks do with our neighborhood associations to help improve our neighborhoods.
Yes, it's a great opportunity to get the most bang for your buck, and who doesn't like to plant more trees in our neighborhoods anyway,
You got
right?
it.
So that looks like it's going to wrap up for this episode of City Manager's Report. Mark, as always, I'd like to thank you for joining us today.
It's a pleasure.
Again, the City Council meeting agenda is this Tuesday, January 10th at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on GovTV and on our website at oshkoshmedia.org, or you can listen to it on 101.9 Oshkosh FM, which is also online and on the TuneIn Radio app for mobile devices. Make sure you like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter for all your community and government programming and updates, or check out our YouTube channel for government meeting replays and past episodes of your favorite programs. And don't forget, if you have a question for City Manager Mark Roloff, you can send it to us on Twitter by searching for @CityOfOshkosh. You can post it to our Facebook page by searching for Oshkosh Media, or you can email it to us at question@ci.oshkosh.wi.us. As always, thank you so much for joining us on City Manager's Report, and we'll see you next time.